Thank you for joining. I think you can hear me. Yes? All right, so how many of you know what this is? Any guesses? Oh, I think we have our work cut out for us. All right, click. Well, this is Poang, and it is one of IKEA chairs. We are from IKEA, so obviously we have to start with this. Originally, it was known as Poem, and this was the result of the first collaboration between Japanese designer Nakamura and Swedish head of design at IKEA, Lars Engman. Poang has been part of IKEA's range since 1976 and has been a timeless piece of home furnishing. It has gone through several iterations over the years, including change in upholstery, change in wood finishes, but the essence of Poang has remained the same over the years, and that is to provide our customers with a place of solace and comfort at the end of a long and tiring day. But why are we talking about a chair today, you might wonder?
That's because at IKEA we try to capture this very essence in everything we do. So it is the same motivation of keeping the people at the center was our driving force in our journey from private to inner source to open source. So shall we dive in?
Yes, absolutely. But before we do that, who are we? And you got a little bit of introduction with our names, but I can start. My name is Chitale. I work as head of OSPO, Open Source Program Office at IKEA. I've been working in the field of open and inner source for 15 years, and prior to that, a few more years in the software industry in US, India, and now in Sweden since 2021. Not 1921. I am not a ghost. When I'm not working at IKEA, I am home with my 17-year-old daughter. We love to travel, we love to try local cuisines and learn about new cultures. What about you, Priya?
I'm Shanmuga Priya. I go by Priya, and I work as the open source engineering advisor and the coach at the Open Source Program Office, IKEA. I work on governance and strategy and also coaching the teams in open source and inner source journey. I have 16 years of experience in product development and predominantly worked in product R&D divisions and also leading inner source and open source projects. And also a mother to a 9-year-old, and I love reading and traveling and sometimes doing both at the same time. So let's dive into the topic. IKEA is a large organization with a complex landscape and several companies within IKEA sphere. And that's why we needed a good collaborative approach to keep delivering to our customers under one IKEA brand. And also in 2018, we started our digital transformation to make a transition from cash and carry to customer-first omni-channel shopping experience. And that brought up the need for modern collaboration.
And as Priya said, we have been on a journey at IKEA, sort of a digital journey that started in 2018, when we were just a digital starter, with rudimentary digital plans and limited investments. Going into COVID, we kind of became digital literate, so there was a gradual digital transformation. And then finally, in 2024 and now, we can say that we are a digital performer, but the aim is to become a digital leader by 2027. And our focus has been on transforming our customer meeting points, which include the blue boxes, as we like to call them, which is basically our physical stores, and also our digital offerings, which is IKEA Web for e-commerce and the IKEA app that you can download on your mobiles. The focus is also on empowering our co-workers in the stores and modernizing our tech and data landscape. And over the years, our digital sales have gradually increased, coming up to almost 28% of our sales are through our digital offerings today.
However, as we progressed in our digital transformation, we gained speed, but also we slid into unaligned autonomy. So this resulted in autonomous choices being made by individual teams and also in siloed learning. We soon realized that we needed some kind of harmonization to make it sustainable and scalable. And in order to move towards this aligned autonomy, we had to form partnerships and move towards co-creation. We needed a modern way of working which ensured high transparency, the one that breaks down the silos, and also increases the cross-team collaboration and improves the visibility across teams, and also improves reuse and suited for better scalability. And one such way of addressing this was by using InnerSource. InnerSource is adopting open source ways of working within the organization. And in simple terms, it is opening up the code base for reuse and contribution.
And as Priya mentioned, InnerSource is great, but also sometimes it looks fantastic on paper, but a lot goes into achieving the desired results. And we faced several challenges, the first of which was getting a mindset shift towards collaboration. So going from a siloed development to opening up code, in a way it was a culture shift from territorial to community-based. This was difficult mainly because of the fear of change in the teams and having a sort of a lack of trust in developers that were external to the team who actually wanted to contribute to the team. Another piece of the puzzle was to get buy-in from the entire organization. So, things like time allocation for inner-sourcing or working on products which are not part of your day job, which are not part of the team that you are part of, motivating senior team members to do mentorship when it comes to InnerSource. And also challenges from the contributors who did not have much knowledge about InnerSourcing or who came up with this question of, well, what's in it for me? Like, why should I contribute to somebody else's code base? What am I going to get in return for that, right? So yeah, we did face several such challenges, but we also found some things that worked well for us. And maybe you want to talk about that, Priya?
So we adopted a few strategies to overcome these challenges. The first being awareness programs. To spread the information and knowledge about InnerSource, its benefits, how it is relevant to IKEA, and which areas can best benefit out of InnerSource, etc. And we spoke in whichever forum possible internally, targeted to a specific audience like a specific team or to the organization itself as a whole. And not only to the co-workers but also to the senior leadership and the middle management, because the drive has to come both ways, top down and bottom up, to bring in the shift in the mindset towards collaborative development. And the second strategy was setting up governance and framework to facilitate InnerSource. We provided clear guidelines on how to make a project InnerSource ready, and also how to make it discoverable for anyone to find it, reuse and contribute to it. And not only that, we also provided some advanced tools like the InnerSource maturity model, which the teams can use to assess themselves with respect to the level of collaboration and also identify next steps they have to take to move to the next level of maturity. And another technique or a method that we employed was providing a safe ground to experiment. There is always a fear or hesitation to adopt new processes, and also it becomes very difficult to adopt when it is good to have than a mandatory change that's coming in. So providing a safe ground to experiment allows exploration without a fear of failure or no pressure on the return on investment. And one such safe ground to experiment we provided was the InnerSource hackathon. We conducted an InnerSource hackathon last year, and that helped create good engagement with around InnerSource. And it also helped increase the InnerSource project landscape and also brought in more contributions to the existing InnerSource projects. And finally, the acknowledgement and recognition go a long way in not only motivating someone but also inspiring others to join the league. So we recently launched the InnerSource and Open Source Championship Program to recognize the efforts of the maintainers and the contributors to our InnerSource and Open Source projects. And we have around 250 InnerSource and Open Source champions in our organization.
Yes, and not only that, we have also seen fantastic results with some of our InnerSource products. And one of them is our developer portal, which is called Alan. And yes, the name is in fact inspired from Allen key, which is a small but powerful tool I'm sure all of you must have used at some point. It's used for assembling most of our furniture. So Alan is a place where central service providers and development teams come together, providing guardrails, golden paths, metrics, and easy onboarding. But how does InnerSource tie in with Alan? Well, Alan was actually purpose-built with InnerSource in mind, using some of the InnerSource principles. The first one was promoting reuse instead of building from scratch. So reuse of established projects was something that we did with Alan. And a side note, Alan is based on Backstage, which incidentally is also open source. The second thing was having a strong community engagement. So with Alan, we have a really small core team, but a big community of external contributors. And the third thing that worked for us was transparency with decisions, code, and everything that is related to Alan. And the thing is that Alan is not only an InnerSource product, it has also become a platform for promoting InnerSource in the form of something that we call a marketplace. So a marketplace is a component of Alan, which is an org-wide catalog for reusable assets across IKEA.
Yeah, and another great example is Scapa. When you visit an IKEA store, you get a unique IKEA experience. With digitalization, we wanted our customers also to get the same IKEA experience, unique IKEA experience in all our digital meeting points too. So all IKEA digital experience like the mobile app or the website are created using Scapa, which is our official digital design system at IKEA. And it is a collection of guidelines, design code, and which helps the teams to create digital products which can be uniquely identified as IKEA. And it also provides guidelines like to the standard color palette to be used, reusable components and graphical assets, even down to the spacing and text formatting. And how does InnerSource tie in with Scapa? So Scapa is an IKEA-wide inter-company collaborative project. So we needed more wider collaboration here. And through inner sourcing, we were able to create a shared ownership and trust with the product teams so that they can unblock themselves by directly fixing the bugs instead of just reporting them. And with Scapa, our developers can create UI products 50% faster.
Yeah, and as Priya said, those are fantastic numbers, and we have some more numbers for you when it comes to Alan and Scapa. So, more than 95% of the Alan team is external contributors, and it hosts over 50 reusable software components and 30 internal platforms. Similarly, with Scapa, over the years we've been able to save developer time up to 20 to 50%, and the org-wide adoption has been fantastic at 400% increase in 3 years with 172 million package downloads just in 2024. So something that we are really proud of.
Yeah. So now what brings us to open source? What is the motivation behind that? By fostering an inner source ecosystem, we were able to create an environment of collaboration and co-creation within the organization. And naturally, our next step was towards facilitating open source. Like any other organization, we consume open source software to build our digital products. And IKEA's vision is to create a better everyday life for the many. Taking that very essence into the digital space, we wanted to contribute back to the open source community with what we think would benefit the many outside IKEA. Not only that, open source also aligns with our digitalization strategy to transition from a digital starter to a digital performer. We cannot be a digital performer without being active in the open source community. So we encourage our co-workers to contribute back to the upstream projects, open source projects that they may be consuming, and also explore opportunities to open source any generic frameworks or tools or any generic libraries that they may be developing. So we have been contributing to open source projects like OpenTelemetry, Grafana, Kubernetes, to name a few. And we also recently started our open sourcing journey, that is open sourcing our repositories too.
Right, and I don't know how many of you actually recognize the IKEA catalog. Those of you who are from Sweden have probably seen catalogs. And in case you have that question in your mind, let me be clear that we stopped making catalogs, so we are not really going to open source that. Another question that we get very often is, are you going to open source the assembly instructions manual? I know it would be a great idea, but no, well, not yet at least. But one of the challenges that we always have at IKEA is how to marry traditions with modernism. Culture and values play a very important role at IKEA, and we are quite protective of the IKEA brand. So it's sort of a fine line between protecting the brand versus promoting it by going open, by going public. But we put in some of the mechanisms that really helped us through this journey. The first one was an uncomplicated review process that included OSPO, security, legal, architecture, and even the branding team. The second was educating our open source maintainers to be responsible open source citizens. So what does that mean? How to maintain the health of the repositories, how to ensure security, quality, confidentiality at all times. And also how to respond to external queries, to PRs that come from outside in a timely manner. Another thing that we are always mindful of is the things that we are open sourcing. We want to make sure that it is giving some value add back to the engineering community while aligning with the IKEA values. And then finally, last but not the least, having buy-in from senior leadership who are invested in open source and inner source is super, super important for any open source program.
Yeah, so to give you a gist of our open source journey, it actually started by interest expressed by one of our teams. We believed the component they developed would benefit the many outside IKEA, so we went ahead and open sourced it. We published our first open source repository a year back, and now we have a few more repositories published, and many more are in the pipeline. And one of those published repositories recently also received external contributions. So our journey is going on. To have shifted from the siloed ways of working to collaboration within the organization and now to open sourcing itself, we have come a long way. Yeah.
So, in summary, to start an open source journey, we have some of our learnings which we would like to share with this group. The first one is keep it simple. Second is acknowledge the people and celebrate the success stories. Third is secure leadership buy-in. And then finally, talk about open source and InnerSource. And coming back to our favorite chair, Poang, with which we started. By the way, this is actually the natural habitat of Poang, as you see over here. And we hope that through our furniture and our digital offerings, we are actually able to create a place of solace and comfort for the many people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this slide. Done. Thank you very much. Let's have some questions, shall we? Oh, Tina.
Thank you very much for your talk. One thing I had, my perception of this presentation is open source is somehow a next stage of InnerSource, but I think it's not always the case. I have a small example where I open sourced a tool a long time ago. It's very popular these days, but I actually had to decline a pull request from my own colleague to extend this functionality because they requested the functionality but is very company internal and doesn't belong into the tool which is open source. It's not useful for everyone. And would this tool be InnerSource? That would be appropriate, that pull request would be accepted. But because it's now open source, it actually puts more restrictions in what can go in because we don't want to just, add functionality because it's convenient to us and not to our external users. What's your take on this? How to properly manage them?
Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I think we described that the open source was the next level was because of the collaboration involved, so bringing in the collaboration within the organization and then taking it outwards. But the example that you mentioned is totally valid because whatever contribution, be it for an InnerSource project or an open source project, it has to be aligned with the roadmap of the project. So even with InnerSource, we'll have to, sometimes our maintainers have to decline some of the contributions that are made if it doesn't align with the roadmap. Yeah.
Exactly, and just to add on to that, open source, as you said, is not really the next step of InnerSource. It was like that for us because we had more focus on InnerSource first, but you're right, it goes in parallel for most organizations.
Hi. So, a lot of times when companies in general decide to go open source with something, they have this great idea that by doing it open source, suddenly a world of developers will show up and contribute and help you out. And, so, managing the expectations within the company tend to be important. So I'm just curious how you did that or how you experienced either the flood of developers or the lack of developers showing up to help you.
Yeah, so it's the same with InnerSource also. That's the same expectation when somebody InnerSources the project, that they expect that many contributions will come in from day one, but it doesn't happen that way. It takes time for the project to get traction organically, and then after people start using, then you get the contribution. So we had to have sessions like coaching sessions or some education sessions to impart this information to all the co-workers, that building a community also takes effort from the maintainers. So that's why responding to the queries from the community and also giving timely response plays a major role. So yeah, so our co-workers, I think, are aware of it, but it took some time to get there. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for a great presentation. So quick question, do you think the CRA will make your journey harder, or will it sort of allow you to leverage the CRA to further simplify upstreaming and further accelerate open source adoption within the company?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I'm not really sure how to answer that, because we have always looked at CRA from the inbound side. We are looking at it from that side, how it's going to affect us in our digital products. But
we are looking into that as well. I
Yeah.
mean, like the outbound part, and in parallel we are doing work to identify what we have to do to make sure that we comply with CRA. So yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say right now though, because I think everybody's kind of struggling with it still, to get the right information and to know exactly what impact it is going to have. That's my honest answer.
In that regard, if I could ask a little follow-up, sometimes OSPOs inside companies often can contribute or collaborate with security, largely because open source code is easier to scan, etc., etc. Does that happen in your OSPO? Do you also work with your cybersecurity teams?
Yes, we collaborate with the cybersecurity teams mostly hand in hand, to make sure that all the risks around usage of open source software is met. So yeah, taken care of. So, yes. You want to add anything?
Yeah. I mean, the code is scanned with the help of cybersecurity team, and also everything that we have open sourced, we have run it by them and have had them review it to make sure that we are not putting anything out there that is not secure enough. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
This
so
was really
much.
great.